It was a quiet night. Mark was walking home from his night shift at the factory. The streets were empty, and only the sound of his boots hitting the sidewalk could be heard. The sky above was clear, full of stars. Mark stopped for a moment, looking up. Strange, he thought. The stars look brighter tonight. In another city far away, Layla sat alone on a bench outside the hospital. She had just finished her shift as a nurse. Her eyes were tired, and her body ached. She stared at the night sky, trying to clear her mind. The air was cold, but peaceful. Suddenly, at the same moment, both Mark and Layla noticed something strange, a light in the sky that wasn't like the stars. It moved fast. Too fast. It glowed blue and left a trail behind it. Mark frowned. What? Is that a meteor? Layla stood up, her eyes locked on the glowing object. It began to slow down. And then it stopped completely in the air. Right above her. Before either of them could move, the blue light grew bigger, brighter, and suddenly, everything went white. Mark tried to scream, but his voice vanished. His body felt light, like floating in water. He couldn't see or feel anything. No sound, no pain. Just silence and light. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a smooth, cold floor. Everything around him was glowing. The room was round, with walls made of silver and glass. Symbols floated in the air like holograms. A strange hum buzzed in the background. Mark sat up quickly. "Where the hell am I?" he whispered. But no one answered. In another chamber, Layla also woke up. Her heart raced. The air smelled like metal. She touched the wall. It felt warm and pulsing, almost alive. Panic rose in her chest. She looked down and saw she was still wearing her scrubs, but her phone and bag were gone. "Hello?" She called out. "Is anyone there?" The room responded with a soft voice, robotic and calm. "Do not be afraid. You have been chosen." Layla stepped back. "Chosen for what?" At that moment, a wall in her room turned transparent. On the other side, she saw Mark standing alone in his chamber. They locked eyes. Both looked confused. Both were scared. He raised his hand. She slowly did the same. Then shadows moved behind the glass. Figures stepped into view, tall, thin, glowing blue. Their skin shimmered like ice, and their eyes were black and deep, as if they held entire galaxies inside them. Aliens, Mark's breath caught. This is real? One of the alien beings stepped forward. Its mouth didn't move, but its voice echoed in Mark and Layla's minds. "You are safe. You are important. Your kind has something we have lost." Layla's voice shook. "What do you want from us?" The alien's tone remained calm but firm. "Your species is strong. You can create life. Our kind cannot. We brought you here to help us survive." Mark's fists clenched. "You kidnapped us." The alien did not respond. Suddenly, lights in both chambers turned red. A soft gas filled the air. Mark felt dizzy. Layla dropped to her knees. "Rest. Now," the voice said. "We begin soon." And with that, darkness took them again. Mark woke up to a strange humming sound. He was lying on a soft blue surface, something like a bed, but warmer, and it pulsed slightly, as if it were alive. The walls of the room glowed with a soft white light. Strange symbols floated across the air like they were projected from nowhere. He sat up slowly, head pounding, heart racing. "Where am I?" he whispered. Before he could stand, a wall shimmered and turned transparent. On the other side, he saw a massive alien, tall, slim, with blue-tinted skin and eyes that glowed faintly. Its long fingers held something like a scroll, though it floated in the air. "You are awake," said a smooth, echoing voice. It was inside his head. No lips moved. Mark tried to stand, but a soft force held him in place. Not painful, not violent, just firm. He couldn't move. "Where's the girl I saw earlier?" he asked. "She is safe. You are both compatible." "Compatible?" For what? The alien's black eyes stared deeply into his. To restore life. Our race faces extinction. You have what we lost. A chance to continue. Mark's eyes widened. Wait, you want us to breed? Like animals? Silence. Then came the answer, yes. Layla, meanwhile, sat inside a different chamber. But her room felt more clinical, cleaner, sharper. In front of her floated a spinning hologram showing 2 DNA strands, hers and someone else's. Suddenly, a new alien entered, but this one was shorter, wearing silver armor with a soft blue light running across the chest. Its voice was colder. You were chosen after great search. Your biology is strong. You will now fulfill your purpose. Leela stood slowly. I didn't agree to this. Consent was not required, the voice said. I'm not a tool. She growled. You are necessary, the alien replied. Just then, the walls of the chamber turned into screens. They showed horrifying images: alien cities abandoned, children that never aged, their species slowly dying, generation after generation. This is what we face, said the voice. Without reproduction we vanish. Layla turned her face away. Then vanish. But the screen changed again. Now it showed her family, her parents, her little sister, all sleeping peacefully on Earth. We can reach them, said the voice. We can take more. Her blood ran cold. Do as we ask and they stay safe. Back in Mark's chamber, another alien entered. But this one looked different, softer, almost curious. It tilted its head at him. You are angry. Mark gritted his teeth. You think? I've read about human anger. It is strong, like fire. You read about us? Mark asked. Yes, we studied you for years. Earth has many violent things, but also beautiful ones. You care, you protect, you connect. Mark blinked. What are you, a scientist? The alien blinked slowly. I am Vela. I do not fully agree with the council. Then help me, help us escape. Vela tilted her head again. If I do, you must help me prove something. Mark narrowed his eyes. Prove what? That love is stronger than order. That humans are not just parts. Layla was taken from her chamber and placed into a glowing room. Mark was brought there too. They were finally reunited, but now something was different. Strange lights circled them. Devices hovered around their heads. They were told to interact, to touch, to begin connection. They refused. A sharp sound rang out, and one alien entered with a staff glowing red. Begin the phase now, or Earth suffers. Mark stepped in front of Leela. You touch her, and I'll end you. The alien raised its hand, and the staff glowed brighter. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. In the silence, another voice whispered, Follow me, now. It was Vela. The hallway was narrow, dimly lit, and pulsing with a faint blue glow. Vela moved fast for someone so tall and alien. Her silver cloak barely touched the floor as she led Mark and Leela through the winding tunnels of the alien ship. With every step, the floor vibrated softly, like they were walking through the veins of a living creature. Mark held Leela's hand tightly. She was still shaking, but she didn't let go. Where are you taking us? Layla whispered. Vela didn't look. Back, to the old sector. The council doesn't monitor it anymore. It's where the first subjects failed. Failed? Mark asked. They refused to obey. They tried to resist. Some disappeared. Some were erased. Mark stopped. You said you disagreed with the council. But why help us? Vela finally turned around. Her glowing eyes flickered. Because I believe you are more than DNA. I've watched your species. You fight, yes, but you also feel, you love. You dream. That is what we lost. Layla stepped forward. So what do you want from us? Vela's voice softened. Proof. Show me your bond is more powerful than control. That your connection can change hearts. Mark frowned. This isn't a fairy tale. We're not some perfect couple. But you choose to protect each other, Vela said. That may be enough. They reached a hidden door rusted and covered in strange markings. Vela placed her hand on it. The door responded to her touch and hissed open, revealing a dark, silent chamber. Inside were rows of old pods, glass tubes covered in dust. Some were empty. Some still held shadows of people inside, long forgotten. Human, alien, and something else. Layla covered her mouth. What happened here? They were experiments, Vela said. The council tried to mix species. It failed. No love. No trust. Just orders and commands, and pain. Mark felt anger rise in his chest. This is insane. We're not breeding stock. We're people. That's why I brought you here. Vela replied. This place is hidden, safe, for now. You can rest. But soon, you must make your choice. Later, as Leela sat alone, she opened a small drawer beside one of the broken pods. Inside was a tiny journal written in human English. It belonged to someone named Alex, a man who had been taken years ago. His final words were scratched in. Anger. They took everything, my name, my will, my hope. If anyone reads this, fight back. Layla clutched the book to her chest. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from rage. She walked back to Mark and showed him the journal. They've done this before, she said. They'll keep doing it, unless we stop them. Mark nodded. But how? We're just two humans. On an alien ship. Not anymore, said a voice. They turned to see Vela holding a glowing sphere. Inside it, a map of the ship flickered to life. This is the neural grid, she said. It controls the ship's systems and the council's access to all chambers. If we reach the core and shut it down, their control over you ends. Mark raised an eyebrow. What's the catch? Vela sighed. You'll have to pass through the central mind scan chamber. It sees your memories, your fears, your weaknesses. If you break, it traps you. Layla looked at Mark. We've been through worse. Mark smiled faintly. Let's give them a nightmare they'll never forget. That night, as the council held their silent meeting high above, far below in the ship's forgotten sector, a spark of rebellion began to rise. Two humans, one rogue alien, and a secret that could burn an empire. The resistance had begun. Vela stood at the edge of the viewing dome, watching the stars slowly drift by. The ship was silent, as if it were holding its breath. Below her, Mark and Leela rested in the forgotten sector, unaware of what was coming next. Vela's mind raced. She had broken every law of the Zellerith. She had lied to the council, hacked the ship's grid, and aided the humans. For what? A feeling? A hope? Something inside her, something ancient and buried, told her this was right. But was it enough? Behind her, the elder scientist Seva entered quietly. He had seen her grow from hatchling to researcher. He had been her mentor. You're hiding them, he said softly. Vela didn't answer. The council suspects. You've always been soft. Curious, it was your weakness. Vela turned to face him, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. No, Tizive, it is my strength. Seva stepped closer. This mission is not about feelings, it's about survival. Our bloodlines are fading. Without those two humans, we... And Vela's voice dropped. Then maybe we're meant to end. The elder's expression hardened. You sound like them now. Vela smiled faintly. Maybe I was never truly one of you. Below, Leela couldn't sleep. She sat with her back against the wall, clutching the old journal like a weapon. Mark was trying to repair a broken drone they had found earlier, hoping to use it as a distraction. During their escape, do you think Vela will really help us? Layla asked. Mark didn't look up. She saved us twice. She gave us the map. That's more than anyone else has done. But why? Layla whispered. What does she really want? Before Mark could answer, the lights in their chamber flickered. The door opened. Vela entered slowly, her face unreadable. "There's no time," she said. "They've found your location." Layla stood up quickly. "So that's it? We run again?" Vela shook her head. "No, this time we fight." She placed a small device on the floor. It created a glowing hologram, a copy of the ship's command matrix. "This is the mind scan chamber," she said, pointing to the center. "It's the only path to the neural core." Mark stared. "You want us to walk through a machine that reads our minds?" "It won't just read," Vela said. "It will test. It will show you your worst fears. If you give in, you won't come out." Layla's hands balled into fists. "Then we don't give in," Vela hesitated. "If you make it through, the ship's control will shift for just 5 minutes. Enough time to send a signal to Earth, a warning, a call for help. But it will also reveal me as a traitor." Mark looked at her. "Why are you doing this? You could walk away. Live." Vela's voice cracked for the first time. "Because I've watched your species from afar. You laugh even when it hurts. You love even when you're scared. We lost that. We replaced feeling with function. But now, maybe it's not too late." She took something from around her neck, a small crystal, glowing softly. She handed it to Leela. "This contains the full genetic map of our species," Vela said. "If I don't make it, take it. Find someone who can help us the right way, not through force, but choice." Layla held the crystal tight. "You're not going to die." But Vela only gave a sad smile. They moved quickly through the lower corridors, past the pods, past the failed experiments. The walls grew warmer, brighter, as they neared the heart of the ship. Finally, they reached the mind scan chamber. The door stood tall, smooth, and silver. It hummed like it was alive. "This is where I stop," Vela said. "Only humans may pass." Mark turned. "Will we see you again?" Vela stepped back into the shadows. "If you succeed, you'll change everything. If you fail, remember me." And then she was gone. Mark and Leela stood before the door to the mind scan chamber. It was smooth, round, and pulsing with soft white light. No handle, no buttons. Just a whisper of energy humming through the air, as if the door was waiting for them to speak. Layla looked at Mark. "Are you ready for this?" He swallowed hard. "No, but I don't think we'll ever be." As if sensing their resolve, the door suddenly opened. No sound, no warning. Just a slow shift, revealing a chamber that was unlike anything they'd seen so far. The room inside wasn't mechanical. It looked like a dream, clouds floating under their feet, stars painted across the ceiling, and shimmering images shifting in the air like thoughts, turned into light. But something about it felt wrong. They stepped in together. The door vanished behind them. Suddenly, the stars above turned red. The clouds beneath them cracked like glass. The peaceful dream shattered. Mark was alone. He stood in his childhood bedroom. Everything looked exactly the same, his old posters, the cracked window, the creaky wooden bed. But it was quiet. Too quiet. Then he heard it. His mother's voice. "Mark, why did you leave us?" He turned and saw her standing in the doorway. But her eyes weren't right. They were empty, cold, not human. "You let them take you," she said. "You left us behind." Mark backed away. "You're not real. You're a trick." But her voice cut deep. "You always run. From your job, from your pain, from your responsibilities." The walls closed in. The lights flickered. "Face it," she whispered. "You're a coward." Mark clenched his fists. His legs shook. But something inside him pushed back. "No," he said. "I'm still here. I didn't give up. I'm fighting. That's not cowardice. That's strength." The room cracked. The illusion broke, and he was gone. Layla stood in an empty hospital hallway. She recognized the smell of bleach, the pale lights, the cold air. It was the same hospital where she lost her younger brother. She took a step forward, and suddenly, he appeared, a child, maybe 8 years old. Standing in the middle of the hallway, holding a toy spaceship. "Layla," he said. "Why weren't you there?" Tears welled in her eyes. "No, not this, please. You promised to come. I waited." She dropped to her knees. "I never stopped thinking about you. I was working. I didn't know you were. You let me die," he whispered. "No," she shouted. "I didn't let you die. I tried everything." But the hallway grew darker. The lights went out, one by one. "You don't belong here," the voice of the chamber said. "You carry guilt too heavy to lead." She sobbed into her hands. Then, a warm hand touched her shoulder. It was Mark. Accepted WSN, single quotes T. It was her will, her own strength. A part of herself reminding her who she really was. She stood up, wiped her face, and whispered, "I won't live in guilt anymore. I'll live for him." The illusion shattered. She was free. The chamber went dark. And then light. Mark and Layla found themselves standing together again, breathless and shaking, but whole. A deep voice echoed all around them, colder than before. "You passed." The ground beneath them shifted. A glowing path appeared, leading forward. "You are more than genetic material. You are emotion, memory, will. You are unpredictable." Mark looked at Layla. "I think that's a compliment." They stepped onto the glowing path. At the end, a console floated mid-air. Layla's crystal was already placed inside. Layla touched the controls. The ship shuddered. An alarm blared in the distance. In the council chamber above, red lights flashed. Screens displayed one word: core override. Alien leaders screamed in their strange language. Guards rushed out, but it was too late. From the command room, Mark and Layla had done it. A signal pulsed into the stars. A message in Earth's language. "We're alive. We need help. They're not what they seem." Layla, watching from afar, closed her eyes. A single tear glowed down her cheek. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. Lights flickered. Sirens wailed in a strange, alien rhythm. Somewhere deep in its metal veins, something had changed, something the council hadn't expected. And now, they were afraid. Inside the control core, Mark and Layla stood breathless. Did it work? Layla whispered. Mark looked at the console. "The signal's out. Earth heard us. I hope." Suddenly, the glowing path behind them dissolved, and the room darkened. The ship wasn't happy, and neither was the council. Above, in the highest chamber of the vessel, the council elders floated in a ring of energy. Their forms shimmered with rage. "Vela has betrayed us. The humans are not compliant. Terminate them. Reclaim the DNA samples." Vela moved quickly, her cloak trailing behind her as she sprinted through the passageways. She had one chance left. If the humans were caught now, everything was lost. Not just their freedom, but her people's last hope of doing things differently. A loud hum echoed through the hall. Security drones were being released. Spheres of glowing metal flew from the ceilings, scanning every chamber for signs of rebellion. She turned a corner and found a hidden access port. "Please still work," she whispered. The panel flickered, then opened. Back in the core, Mark grabbed Layla's hand. "We have to move. They'll come fast." "How?" she asked. "The exit is locked." Mark kicked the console. "I didn't plan that far ahead." Just then, the wall behind them slid open. Layla stood there, out of breath, her eyes glowing with urgency. "This way." They didn't ask questions. They ran. The halls were alive with movement. Walls shifted. Floors rearranged. The ship was adapting, hunting. As they ran, Layla noticed strange symbols blinking along the wall's red marks. "What are those?" she asked. "Defense markers," Vela said. "They mean death is near." Mark laughed bitterly. "Fantastic." Suddenly, 3 drones dropped in front of them, blocking the path. Their energy weapons powered up. Vela raised her hands. "Don't move," She stepped forward and reached into her cloak, pulling out a round crystal. She crushed it in her palm. A pulse of energy spread out. Like a wave, the drones froze, then dropped to the floor. Powerless. Leela stared. What was that? My last override crystal, Vela said. Now we run blind. They reached the hangar bay. Dozens of strange ships sat idle, some shaped like wings, others like fish. But only one was small enough for three. Vela led them to it. This one has stealth systems, but it's old, slow, and loud. Mark smirked. Sounds like me. They jumped in. As Vela activated the controls, a voice echoed through the bay. Vela. Of the ninth kin, you are charged with betrayal. You will not leave. A massive gate began to close. Lila leapt to the control panel. How do I stop that? You don't, Vela said. You fly through it. Mark shouted. What? Vela slammed her hand down. The ship roared to life. Hold on, she yelled. The engine screamed. The ship lifted off the ground, shaky and slow. The gate was almost shut. Mark clenched his teeth. We're not going to make it. The ship tilted sharply. Layla screamed. The gate narrowed to a crack, and then they shot through it. The edge of the gate scraped the side of the ship, sparks flying, alarms blaring. But they were out, into the blackness of space. Silence. Stars everywhere. Then a beep. The ship's system blinked. Stealth activated. Mark laughed. It sounded half crazy, half relieved. We did it, he said. We're out. But Vela didn't smile. She sat still, her hands folded. They'll follow, she said. They always do. Leela looked at her. Then what's the plan? Vela slowly turned to them. We find Earth first. We get ahead of them. We show your people what's coming. Not just the danger. But the truth. Mark leaned back. What happens if Earth doesn't believe us? Vela's eyes shimmered. Then we show them what 2 humans and 1 traitor alien can really do. 3 days passed in deep space. Mark, Layla, and Vela floated through the stars in their stolen ship. Outside the windows, the universe looked peaceful, silent, endless. But behind them, danger still followed. The council would not stop. Not after what they had done. Mark sat near the control panel, looking at Earth on the screen. It was getting closer, pixel by pixel. We're almost home, he whispered. Leela walked in carrying 2 cups of hot liquid Vela made from a strange alien root. It wasn't coffee, but it was close. You think Earth will believe us? She asked. Mark gave a weak smile. Let's hope they don't shoot first. In the back chamber, Vela sat alone, eyes closed, breathing slow. Her hands were folded over the crystal core, the same one she had once sworn to protect for her dying species. Now she had betrayed everything she was raised to believe in, not for war, not for power, but for choice. She had seen something in Mark and Layla, something no data or genetic code could explain. Something the council forgot long ago, humanity. She opened her eyes. A red light flashed on the console. They had been found. Ship jolted. Sirens blared. Council drone ships. Mark shouted, "They tracked us." Layla stared at the screen. "There are 3, no, 5 of them. They'll shoot us down before we enter Earth's atmosphere," Vela said. "Unless..." She stood and pressed a sequence on the panel. A new screen popped up. Initiate quantum jump. Warning, system unstable. Mark frowned. That doesn't sound safe. It's not, Vela said. But it'll take us close enough to Earth's orbit past their weapons. Layla stepped forward. And if it doesn't work? Then we'll burn together, Vela said calmly. Mark chuckled dryly. Great, no pressure. Vela looked at them. I'll stay here and guide the ship. You two get to the escape pod. If I fail, at least you'll survive. No, Layla said firmly. We do this together. Vela paused. You would risk death. For me? Mark grinned. Guess. You've become more human than you thought. The ship shook violently. Outside, the drones closed in. Weapons hot. Mark slammed his hand on the console. Jump it now. Vela activated the core. Everything turned white, then black. Moments later, they were in orbit above Earth. The ship was smoking, barely holding together. A human satellite pinged them. A message came through the speaker. Unidentified vessel. Identify yourself. You are entering protected airspace. Mark leaned into the mic. My name is Mark Riley. I'm from Earth. We were taken by aliens. We're not alone. I repeat, we're not alone. Silence, then stay put. Escort ships inbound. Hours later, inside a secure government base on Earth, Mark and Leela sat across from a group of military officers and scientists. Vela was kept in a separate room, watched, guarded. Mark had told them everything. Layla had backed it all up. Still, the room was silent. Then a woman in a gray suit stood up. You expect us to believe that an alien race kidnapped you to repopulate their planet? Mark stared straight into her eyes. You don't have to believe me. Just look up. They're still out there. And they're watching. Another officer spoke. And the alien, the one who helped you? She gave up everything for us, Layla said. She risked her life. Her people hate her for it. But she believed in something better. The woman in the suit nodded slowly. Then maybe she should speak next. In the next room, Vela stood alone, still holding the crystal that carried the last hope of her dying species. The door opened. Mark and Leela walked in. We're not just going to tell them, Mark said. You are. Vela looked unsure. They won't listen to me, she said softly. Layla stepped forward and smiled. Then let them listen to your heart, just like we did. Vela nodded. She stepped into the light. And for the first time in history, an alien didn't arrive to conquer, she came to explain. Weeks later, things began to change. Earth had proof it wasn't alone. Treaties began. Warnings were sent. Defenses were built. But something else happened too. Hope. Because of two humans and one alien who dared to feel, two species found a new path. A path not of control, but of choice. Of trust. Of something more.